Hello? You're live. She looks so tiny. You look so tiny. You can do it. You can do a narrative. Here she goes, posing. That'd be right. What? I'm not sure. I never know. Beautiful evening. Bit of a wind, a bit cool. That's good. No rain. Tomorrow we have concrete. She's watering the side garden, which I think's been in there for about 2 weeks, 2 and a bit weeks. Looks alright. I'll take you for a little walk so you can see. It's a blue box is a dunny. The builders can crap and work at the same time. There's the bin lady. Hello.
Hang on.
She's concentrating. She doesn't want to spill a drop.
Who are you talking to?
You?
Yeah, who's on there?
I don't know. It's a little ground cover that we put in. And they're just starting to produce some pretty little flowers. They're pretty cool. They haven't started flowering on these ones yet, but they will. I forget the name of them. But they look pretty good. This is a foreign invader. This one here. This one has to go. I'm going to have to dig down and do some damage to that.
Yeah,
See how some of these are already starting to spread?
yeah, but I haven't got the strength to pull whatever that's from.
Oh, it's actually shooting from a root, so I'll have to fix that later.
There's a few. Oh.
Okay. See how those have stopped flowering at the moment, these
I
ones?
know, I have to cut all them off.
Do you?
Yes.
You can see fresh buds underneath, can't you?
That's why I've got to cut the old ones off, so...
But these only been in a couple of weeks. See how they start to spread?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
You notice it's only certain flowers that are doing it?
Yeah, well, obviously they have a different time of the year they do things. It looks alright. So that's the little cottage garden. Going okay. Behind the step. That's my cup of coffee. She'll be happy shortly. Hello, Kiwi. Not bad tonight. Had a cool wind the other night, but pretty good tonight. Thought we'd come on a bit earlier. Hello, Mel. Just showed everyone a quick tour of the cottage garden. This is the little garden we put in the other day. When you use Streamlabs, you can't zoom in. There's a mixture of vegetables in there. Yeah, it's the only thing annoying about Streamlabs, you can't zoom in. How have you been, Mel? Yes, Hooker's garden. I've over-crammed it on purpose because she's only got a very small space. So some of the plants will overpower others, but that's okay. You've been watching... Oh, you just got home. We got concrete being poured tomorrow, Mel. About 40 square metres of it. A lot. You get that this time of year, probably more so in New Zealand, but we get a bit like that here every now and then. We woke up to fog this morning. I'm pretty sure Mel would have done as well. Pretty thick fog. Closed down the airport again for a little while. Then it looked like it was going to rain. Then it got sunny, and now it's a bit of a cool breeze at night. Mel says, tell Mrs. C she is fired from being my personal Go Live secretary.
Is she on there?
Yeah, you want to say hello?
Sorry, Mel. I'll give you a virtual kiss. Who else is on there?
Oh, probably NBC, Netflix. They're probably all watching like they normally do. Yeah, not sure why. I don't. Yeah, sometimes people go live and I don't see it. In fact, the next thing I see is a recording that they've done. Put some yummy watermelon, and I was just making a quick video of how I cut up a watermelon, and then the wife walks into the kitchen, Mel, and she says, "Oh, it's nearly time to do a poo." And I said, "Oh, good, I got that on camera." So I just put that little video up earlier today. And now I'm just watering the garden by sitting on the veranda. That's lazy. She couldn't stop laughing. It's so funny.
Be careful, you know, wet next door.
Wet next door?
Yeah, because you're
I'll
holding it.
here, take it then.
I've got it.
What a bossy little bugger, I tell you. Wasn't watering the neighbour. There she is, off in the garden now. Yeah, Vinny's going home, that's good.
Who's going home?
Vinny, apparently. I said he'd be about 40 days and 40 nights in there.
Oh, he'll be happy.
And then he can walk on water.
Is Vinny in there?
I don't see Vinny at the moment. Did you only just get the one catalogue?
Yeah.
Jeez. That's unusual.
Yeah, I know, it's cold. I think maybe it got me.
Probably don't need too much. Just looking at them, they look like they need just a little touch, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I won't give them a lot.
Yeah. I don't even know what team Vinny follows. I'm a West Coast Eagles boy myself. Should be an interesting grand final actually. Richmond look like they've got the wood, but GWS beat Collingwood, which is always a pleasant treat, let's be honest. Not many people like Collingwood. But yeah, so maybe they'll surprise Richmond, I don't know. If you wanted to bet your house on, you'd probably put it on Richmond, but stranger things have happened.
Can you pass me the brush, please?
See? You're right, Steve. Kiwi Steve says we all know Mrs. Seeds is the boss.
Yes.
Just nod and agree. Nodding as we speak, nodding. Thanks, boss.
Well, you should have gone and watered then.
I did. but then it wasn't good enough for you.
No, because you were talking and then the neighbours were out there and I didn't want you to go, what?
And did I?
No, because I told you. Stop giving me a hard time.
OCD.
Yes.
OCD. Right, let's turn the television around the other way. See everybody? Should work. There we go.
Put on you.
Got a bit of you there.
No.
Got half your head fitted in, like I've got the bottom part of my head fitted in.
Yeah, look at the height. And yeah, that looks silly. Hey.
So what's for dinner, Mel? What are you making?
Chicken quiet. Takeaway tonight, fish and chips.
Fish and chips. You'll get Steve all excited, you know that, don't you? That's my kind of woman. Nice bit of fish and chips. Nothing wrong with fish and chips. We have it every now and then. But we must have our potato scallops with it.
$9.80 for 2 snapper and chips.
Yum.
There's not many places that do proper potato scallops.
Yeah, I don't like those manufactured potato scallops. Awful. Which one's that one coming from? That's not... is it the one over the other side of the bay? What do we call it? Nina's?
There's Nino's.
Nino's.
Is it Nino's, Mel? And what's the... I can't remember the other one.
Cicerillo's.
That's it, Cicero. Seascapes.
Oh yeah, I know. There's one. There's an old one actually. If you go down, you know where the band plays in that rotunda, off the main street, virtually across the road, a little bit to the right. There's a fish and chip shop there. Now we always didn't go there, but then we give it a go. It's not bad, not too bad. Yeah, you can't beat that. And particularly where Mel lives, whether she has it at home, but if she goes down the foreshore, it's beautiful down there on the Mandurah foreshore. She can share her chips and fish with seagulls and homeless people. She can choose. The seagulls jump a little higher though. Yeah, it does. I always found probably about this time of night, Mel, about the best time to go down and have a feed down the foreshore. It was always good. Hello, Lolis. Mr. Seeds will be coming. Just doing an OCD thing at the moment, closing the curtain. Oh, a little bit to the left. Perfect. Good. Yes. Little Bedantic, my angel. You have your own beach. Ooh. I know people who used to go and get their fish and chips from Cicerello in the boat. They'd phone ahead, go alongside the dock, pick up their evening meal. Which is a little bit precocious, but still, they could, so they did. Yeah, there's not as many mozzies here than there is in Mandurah. Mandurah can be a bit of a nightmare sometimes. Actually, some of the worst nights weren't mozzies, there was those little midgies.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about, Mel? They can be a real pain in the ass. Yeah, good feed at the Rover. Actually, if we come down...
Not if, when?
No, I'm saying come down... instead of going directly to Mandurah, we could meet up at the Ravo. Because that is a beaut pub. Sit outside, look across the river.
Well, when we go down, I want to stay the night.
What, on the river?
No, at Mandurah, because I want to look around
Where do you want to stay? Somewhere flash?
the foreshore again and all that. And go
So we
to
buy a tent.
Yeah.
Or just a sleeping bag and we'll look like one of the locals again.
No, we'll just use Mel's chook pen.
Oh, no, we're not doing that. But the Ravo is a good place to catch up. Been there a few times. I've never been disappointed. I always generally go for the schnitzel.
Turn it round on you properly because that looks silly that they're only seeing this.
That's all right. They get to see a bit of you and a bit of me.
I'll move over in a minute.
Stop complaining, woman.
I'm not complaining.
Can you imagine taking her in space?
Ah, shut up.
Ground control. Mystics gone troppo. What we're gonna do? You haven't had a good meal from there. Oh, I'm surprised. I know. I've had a good meal every time we've been there. So have you only been once? Trying to remember what the other place was called across the bay from Cicerello's. Same bay. Remember that restaurant where you can sit in the bar or outside?
It was down the boardwalk from the
Yeah,
fish and
you walk
chips.
around, go around the other side opposite Cicerello's, and there's like a big restaurant there, outdoor, indoor area.
No, I can't remember what you're talking about.
Yeah, I understand, Kiwi. Yes, boss. No, not Nino's. I'm talking about in the same bay. You know, if you sat outside Cicerello's on the wharf and looked across the bay, you see the big tall buildings, the big apartments, but just underneath them, a little bit to the right. No, not the dome.
Where we had a hamburger. Is that the one you mean?
No,
No.
All the walks we used to do, we used to walk past it. You know the big fig trees at the end? And then you come back, you got the big apartments.
Oh, I know where you mean.
And
that was,
just before the boardwalk,
that was
there's
at
a
the
rest-
bottom of a hotel.
yeah,
What's that hotel there? The big one?
you can park at the back, or you can...
Mel, it's the big hotel that's
Oh, we've actually never eaten there.
near the foreshore.
We walked past it hundreds of times.
Not Sheridan. Is it the Hilton?
No.
Is it the Hilton Hotel? What is it there, Mel?
Anyway, I'm pretty sure she's figured out where we're trying. But mind, there's plenty of places to eat. In Mandurah, there's the Salvation Army, Vinnie's. You know, plenty of places we can go.
The one that Mel just said starts with M.
Hands Cafe. No, we've been there.
Yeah, no, that's not it.
Yeah, that's a little bit yum charish.
Okay,
We've been there.
You're in the right direction, but if
You know when you walk from where Hands is and you go to the theatre where you want to go and watch a show?
walk past the theatre.
Well, you walk past that a little bit, heading towards the fig tree, and there you see a big open outdoor pub.
And
Michelle, you'll have to come visit the
M,
Rovo.
no, M on the point, that's different again.
Hello, Michelle.
Well,
we love the Rovo ourselves.
Maybe...
I don't know. It's irrelevant, but it's in that area. So we've never eaten there. We walked past it hundreds of times.
It's attached to... It's underneath the hotel, Mel. It's going to bug me now. But the M1 is on... I know where that is, because we've been there.
Hands we've been to. That's not
Hands, yeah. So if you... oh, no, we'll go to the Rovo.
too bad. Yeah, the Rovo's cool. So have you been to the Rovo, Michelle? Hello, Lady Sparkles.
Hi, lady.
Yeah, I just the Rovo's got a real cool, relaxing
This door,
atmosphere.
you wait till you see the other door, if that's what you're talking about, Kiwi. The door that we're going to have round the side is even nicer.
How much you reckon that door cost? You're going to be surprised.
Hey, JP.
Hello, JP. JP will be walking through that door one day, or being thrown out of it, one of the two.
She doesn't want to guess 500. No, you're way off. Take
No.
a zero off.
$40. Came off a house in a very flash part of Perth. They were just changing the decor and the door didn't fit. So I said, you'll take $40? He said, yeah, no problem.
Delivered.
Delivered. Solid timber door. It's got a beautiful little inlay. That inlay is not as small as it looks. It's a good 2.5 foot from top to bottom and about 12, 14 inches wide. But big day for us tomorrow. That concrete gets poured. So, and a lot of people, I've heard people say, I'm not quite sure how you build houses in Australia. Are you just building on top of the sand, like with a tent or something? When they see 40 cubic metres of concrete go down, they'll be going, oh, so that's the slab.
The Siebel. It's underneath the Siebel, Mel. I'm sure it's the Siebel Hotel.
Yeah, but we're going to Rover. Don't worry about it.
No, we're trying to work out where the restaurant was that you were trying to tell her about.
Yeah, I've always been that way, JP.
Yeah.
Yeah, underneath and to the right
yeah.
of that one. Yeah.
It's the Siebel, Mel.
Nothing harm. Look, probably between me and Mel, we're the bargain hunters. We could start a television show, network it on something like Netflix. Mel and the Seeds Adventures. Wow, 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 wow.
You'll come back from your bargains and I'll have Mel's yard full of a mini cow, a mini horse, more chooks.
Stage door, that's it. That's what it's called.
Yes.
Stage door, that's exactly what it is. A stage door restaurant. Yep.
See, I knew we'd get it.
We've never been there because we always used to walk past. We used to do a big walk all the way around to the new marina, way at the back near Nino's, and then back again. Good walk.
Bit fancy, is it? Oh well.
Bit fancy? What are you talking
Well, when
about?
we walked past there a few times, people in the beer garden were dressed very casual.
They used to have a little outboard like they have in Freo pubs. They had a little board saying, you know, fillet steak, chip salad, $22, $25.
We'll get her a mini cow, Michelle.
Yeah, but you'd never kill it to eat it. You'd be, oh, it's too cute.
Yeah.
Shit everywhere. I deliberately go shopping with in mind what I want to get. But if I see particularly protein and there's a bargain to be had, I'm going to grab it. I think I've heard of cobblers, I just don't recall it. All right, JP, have a good one. Nice big yawn.
I will too. I'll have a massive farm set up for you, Mel.
So has, I don't think he's there, Kiwi, he's elsewhere. And I think he might even be nearly ready to come home. Or he might even be home, I don't know. But anywhere in Thailand's got reasonable internet, believe it or not, it's not too bad, wherever you go.
Hey, Lois.
Texture is one breed of mini cow.
Yes, very cute. Oh, and I love Palomino and Pinto horses, so we'll get some of them as well, Mel.
I'll get you the plastic little version ones about this big. You and Mel can just plan to go and...
Okay.
Yeah, that's about what I was going to say, Steve. Steve and I call a mini cow the same thing. A hamburger.
No.
Yeah, the garden's not too bad. I did a quick part at the start of this hangout. I did show the little cottage garden. And the veg garden, yeah, I worked out it's probably been in there about 8 days now, so not much happens in 8 days. So I'll do a video in a couple of weeks and show what's happening. And get some new chickens. Betty passes to chicken heaven. Or was that when Betty passes to chicken casserole? Yeah, I don't mind bantams, but their eggs are so bloody small. Oh God, gonna dye their top lips purple. Yes, I know you're not going to eat it. It's only a joke. I used to raise chickens to eat. They tasted damn fine good. Don't think many people do that these days. I won't be doing it here because all the grandkids were saying, "Where's Mr. Bobbles gone? What are we having for dinner, Grandad? Chicken what?" Yeah. Wayne, if it boiled down to that things were tough, I'd certainly grow animals to eat. They live a good life. I think we're going to get about 3 or 4 chickens. You can't just have 1 chicken. Even 2's not really enough. 3 or 4. They'll all have their own little character. I'll build them a little chicken castle. We'll get them, I think, the same time we get our dogs. So there's no hassles. It's very hard for an old dog to accept chickens suddenly appearing on your property. A, he wants to eat them. And B, why are you talking to them when you could be talking to me? Yeah, chicken Game of Thrones. I think they're looking at you, Thelma. No, Mr. Bubbles, they're looking at you. No, they're definitely looking at you. I think they're going to give you a massage just while they're picking you up by your back legs. Oh well. Bye, Thelma. I've never had a qualm of raising something and eating it. I really, it's natural for me. Like I say, it's just too hard now with so many grandkids. They jump on my lap, point my finger and eye and say, "Where is the chicken? Where did it go?" Nicole has started a new channel dedicated to her food. Been watching them as she's downloading. So she's just doing a dedicated food channel. Yeah, okay. I thought she could do that on her own channel, but I've seen chickens with ribbons around them now. I remember there was, in the Sydney show years ago, when I went there was a kids section for best dressed animal. And it went to a pig. But second, I think, was a chicken. They actually had, somehow, earrings on the chicken. The beak was painted like lipstick. There was 1 eyelash left because the other one she obviously got rid of. Are you going to the... I've never liked the Perth Royal Show, I'll be honest with you. It's terribly laid out. It's a pain in the arse. It's never been in a great location. But it's so crammed. You would never get to walk on the path in the middle of the day because there's too many people. And many, many, many years ago, royal shows in Australia were all free. Not now. Show bags, my goodness. Time to make lunch. Let me guess, Lady Sparkles, something to do with chicken? Enjoy your lunch. Used to have a stall there. I worked at Royal shows all around Australia selling medical equipment, believe it or not. It's like it's too expensive for a family of say 2 kids and mum and dad. In Sydney it's about $100 to get in for that amount. Then everything is, I'll give you an idea, you like noodles. Right next to where we were, there was always a noodle van. And you go out there and just get a box of noodles. No real meat in there at all, you know what I mean? A little bit of some vegetable, $12 for a little box. And I'm thinking, really? There's like 30 cents of noodles in this. One thing I've always liked at rural shows, and they used to do it in Hobart, Adelaide, and I think Sydney they did it as well, where they had the big old cooker for the baked potatoes, where they'd open them up. You could put coleslaw or baked beans or whatever. That was always a good feed. But that reminds me of my childhood in the UK, this sort of thing that they'd cook. Yeah, never been real keen on Dagwood dogs. Sort of all puffy pastry and some strange meat in the middle. Yeah, no secrets. Mind you, I'll be honest with you, it would have been 2000, and because I made note of it, 2004, I think, at the Sydney show, a 9 by 3 metre area that the company hired for the, I think it's 10 days, the Sydney show, 9 days or something like that, was $56,000 for a 9 metre by 3 metre. Unbelievable. They call them something different in the US, the Dagwood dogs. What do they call them? Is it corn dogs? Could be that. Actually, the missus found in the weird section where they keep all the food from overseas, bit of New Zealand stuff, bit of American stuff. She found a little box to make corn cupcakes or something, so she'll do a video on that soon, I guess. What was that box that you bought? Corn cupcakes or that little box that you got?
Yeah, I'll have to have a look.
She's going to go and get it now. So you get much fog down there this morning, Mel? It's thick pea soup here this morning.
It's getting dark now. Let's turn the thing around to you. Jiffy's.
There we go. That's what it's called.
Jiffy's corn muffin mix. Apparently, it's America's favourite. America's favourite.
Well, that's what the label says, but it's
I mean, it doesn't make
you
a
see
lot.
my hand, it's not a very big box. Or it's an extremely large hand, one of the two.
Well, it's both.
What is the... there you go. Tells you how many ounces it is.
It makes apparently about 6 muffins, or you can make it in of one tray. Because it said corn muffin, I'm wondering if it's going to taste like cornbread.
Well, it should do.
That's why I wanted it.
I reckon with that you could make corn dumplings. I made a lamb stew tonight, Mel. Yum me.
That would fall apart if you made that into a dumpling and put it in a sauce.
You'd have to mix probably something with it.
That's got to be baked. It's like a cake, basically.
Yeah, I bought some lamb shank meat this time. I like to experiment. I use all sorts of parts of lambs to make that, but the lamb shanks turned out magnificent. I chopped them up into thin slices, removed all the fat. We have a hot dog, battered sausage, Yeah, that's what a Dagwood dog is basically.
Turn it round to yourself. You look like you're struggling to read
That's
it
all right.
now.
Alright, the old man's got to turn it around so I can see. I made Sen Chui Bao last night. She sent you a picture.
Okay, I'll have a look in a sec.
Actually, I love puddings, but the wife doesn't make them. And because I'm the only one that really eats them, I don't bother making them myself. But there's one that you can get, is that cheapo, it's about $2 a packet. Where you put the mix in, stir it into a batter, add the other stuff and whack her in the microwave, which I don't like microwave cooking. But it turns into a pudding with a syrup, but I'm not keen on the microwave bit. They're evil. We did pick out last week we picked out a oven, gas top, stove, and the overhead thing that goes.
Fan.
So that's all done. Yeah, that looks good. It's like something I'd get in Thailand. Yeah. So all this food that you're making, take a picture of, you don't eat it, do you?
Yes, she does.
Because you just cook it for presentation. Then you go buy fish and chips. Just kidding. Very good at presentation. And I took Mel some very nice fillet steak round to my daughter's place, and my husband came home and he cooked it on the barbecue. You know how fillet steak's probably 3 inches round and about 1.5 inches, nearly 2 inches thick, beautiful. And I thought, oh well, he'll know how to cook it. Well, it was about that big when it went out, you know. When it came back in, it was about that long. He just squashed the shit out of it and then turned it over. It looked like a roof tile. And he said to me after he started eating, he said, "Oh, this is pretty tender." And I just went, "Yep." You don't eat your cooking a lot of the time, really. Yes, you don't squash fillet steak. You don't squash any steak, to be honest. Yes, I think Mel's hubby is very fortunate. He probably goes in the kitchen, she's just taken a photo, and he says, "Beauty, I'll have that." And she says, "Do not touch it. I've not finished filming it yet."
She still lives in a good paddock. Yes, I'll have to subscribe.
Are you suggesting for one moment, Mel, that your husband is chunky? Or is he just a robust built Australian?
I just read Louis' message. I'll have to subscribe to Nicole's cooking channel because I like watching her cooking. I often said to you that sometimes, because you've got such a mix, you should do a separate channel from your
For food?
meditation to food. Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Nicole's doing that.
Well, the videos, I don't worry about views, as probably most people know.
No, but just
But the views I get my most views on are my meditation videos. It's staggering. 40,000, 50,000 views. I guess people like to do what I do and turn one on at night and go to sleep. Save it to their favourites.
because I mean, sometimes it's good people have a mix on their channel, but I have to agree if people, well, I do it. Mine's got a mixture.
Oh, you're going to do a video on your channel about those muffins, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, I don't care. You can upload it on.
No,
yours
put
as
it on
well.
yours. You don't squash steak, Steve. Only between the bread with your teeth. That's okay. I couldn't believe it. I come back in and I thought, I'm not going to say anything. But I'm not bringing fillet steak around there again.
Thing.
And a good fillet steak, a good size, and I'm talking about 2.5, 3 inches round by a couple of inches thick. That's about $10 or $12 a steak here. And yeah, just come out like a pancake. No moisture. So did you get a chance to put in a little garden each year yourself, Mel? I imagine you've definitely got a herb garden. You put money on it. Parsley, thyme, rosemary, probably oregano, basil. I don't use a lot of basil. I find sometimes it can become overpowering in a meal. And I don't like coriander. So anything that would normally have coriander in it, I will put parsley. That's what I didn't put in the lamb. Look, it's basically an Irish stew I make, isn't it really? But I mean, I didn't put any thyme in there this time because I ran out of my dried stuff. I should have come out here and grabbed some of the fresh stuff. But everyone can have herbs. You just have a kitchen window, bit of light, bit of sunshine. So anything traumatic happen on YouTube while we haven't been here? The answer would be yeah, of course. Someone hates someone new today. They're planning to hate someone else tomorrow. How do you cook squash? Well, there's probably dozens of ways to cook squash. I tell you, for your presentation, Mel, if you got, say, I'll get to squash in a second, but say you get a nice sweet potato about 2 inches wide, 2 or 3 inches thick, and a bit of butternut pumpkin, and a bit of any other type of squash. What you can do is you cut them across, probably about 1/4 inch thick, lightly oil, season, and put on a hard cast iron's best pan, and they make great presentation vegetables. I'm pretty sure you know where I'm going. They're like big chips, if you like. Leave the skin on, and on a fairly high heat, cook them about, you only need al dente.
Alright, have a good day, Kiwi.
See you, Kiwi. Probably about 2 minutes on each side.
Sorry, I read that wrong.
He's off work. Injured. Oh, that's no good.
I thought you were going.
Corned beef, sausage rolls.
So squash is just, do you mean those little yellow things, Mel, not a pumpkin?
Button squashes you just steam, but that's what I would say. You can roast everything, of course, but for presentation for your photographs, cutting those slices of root vegetable, and there's all the root vegetables you can do that with. Probably not beetroot, but they make great presentations. So if you had, say, even little chips of swede or parsnip, if you get a big enough, fat enough parsnip, and you did a presentation like a rainbow colour, if you like. But it's got to be al dente. It can't be cooked all the way through because it'll mash. Something you just cut into and it goes, ooh, nice. And then probably a little bit of a balsamic reduced over the top now, a little drizzle. A little bit of thyme maybe sprinkled on top. Get the camera out. I will do a very fancy meal for you one day. I will shock you. But I'm all about flavour. Presentation's good, and I appreciate it when I sit down to a meal and it's very well laid out. I like that. But I'm all about flavour. Yeah, sweet potato fries. I tend to like my sweet potato baked, and I leave the skin on because I eat the skin off everything. Pumpkin, sweet potato, I eat the skin all the time. I love it. It's got a real nutty texture particularly if you use, say, a butternut, or Queensland Blue gives a really good nutty flavour. And when I make my Irish stew tonight, I didn't peel anything except the turnip that gets very harsh, and I always core the parsnip. Because if you don't core the parsnip, you have that fibrous crap in the middle. Doesn't matter how good you grow parsnip, you've really got to core it. So cut it down the middle and just scoop out that little core. But yeah, I love the skin left on all the veggies. So I've always called it like a lamb stew I'm making, but it's basically an Irish stew. But if you spoke to any Irish woman and said, is there an exact recipe for Irish stew? They'd say, no, whatever's on hand.
Never cooked parsnip.
Parsnip's fantastic.
It's yum roasted.
For your little fancy of it, you could get a big slicer and just keep, a peeler, keep slicing it, and then probably hit it with just a tiny little bit of flour and then shake it all off, and then flash fry it. Little curls over your food.
That sounds nice, Kiwi.
But parsnips, yum.
Broccoli in a cheese sauce.
Yep. I tell you what works well, kiwi with broccoli, is also coconut, believe it or not. So next time you make your cheese sauce, which is probably a roux how you make it, I guess, just sprinkle in some, if not fresh coconut, just some desiccated coconut. Just the combination of broccoli and coconut just works. It's like bacon and eggs. Mel says, be right back, she's just going to buy a parsnip.
I messaged Em.
Okay.
Yeah.
What?
I messaged Em and told her to bring William round tonight at about 8 when he's ready for bed.
What for?
Because of all the cement trucks in the morning and her trying to drop him off in the morning.
Oh yeah, she wouldn't get anywhere near, would she?
Then I'm just worried him crossing the road.
So when's he coming?
Probably about 8.
Yeah, mashed parsnip's nice too. And actually, that's a good combo. The sweetness of the carrot,
Yeah, parsnip
and the
carrot.
parsnip, and
Yeah.
obviously lots of butter. Yeah, you wrote butter on the end, but yeah, definitely butter and cracked black pepper. Yum. When I was a kid, we used to grow massive parsnips in the UK. It's all to do with soil.
That's plain pepper.
Oh, yeah. You got good soil, it's like good food. You buy crap food and cook it, it's still food. If you've got good soil, even if you're a bad gardener, you'll end up with very good vegetables. That's why I'm not expecting a great success out of this garden, because the soil here is so sandy, and I have no intention of pouring a fair bit of money and time into an area which was just going to be paved in 3 or 4 months.
Well,
Whatever we get out of it, we get out of it.
possibly paved.
Are you changing the plans now, are you?
I don't know. We'll
Well-
see when we get started, I suppose. Changed our mind on other things.
It's probably it's very expensive though, unless you grow your own, which is easy enough. If you buy parsnips from a supermarket or even a greengrocer here, I'm not kidding, you're looking at $2 or $3 each parsnip.
And you got to get them fresh.
Which is ridiculous. Yeah, that combo of carrot and parsnips, yum. Yeah, a lot of people don't realise that turnips is an old staple food. I put 2 turnips in my Irish stew tonight. And when the kids have eaten, they said, what's that stuff? And I say, what does it taste like? And they say, potato. And I say, well, that's only because it's absorbed the flavours of the stew. It's actually turnip. And would they ever go to a shop and buy a turnip? No, they would never do that. Oh yeah, parsnip and swede. Particularly when you roast these vegetables, like carrots, just become They get a little bit caramelised in particular, like pumpkin. It's sweet, but it's the natural sugars and the starches in the vegetables themselves. I do love roast pumpkin. Well, it's just taken beyond being cooked, so it's a bit sort of, ooh, it's getting a bit of caramelisation. Man, that is magnificent. We eat a lot of veggies. I mean, like this Irish stew I made tonight. There was more lamb in it than normal because I bought lamb shank meat, which is not on the bone, it's just the shank meat. But I generally only use about 10 or 15% meat to vegetable when I'm making a stew. It's not about all the meat, it's the texture of the stew in general. And I like a nice, fairly depth of flavours. Yeah, like I say, probably my favourite veg. Obviously, everyone likes potatoes, but it would be pumpkin, roasted pumpkin. And the thing about pumpkin and growing them is that you could have some seeds that you've saved from a pumpkin that you've grown, and you can put them in a cupboard, and 100 years later, your great-great-grandchildren could take that seed and put it in the ground, and it would grow. Get a potato and put it in the cupboard. In 6 weeks, there's going to be a bit of a waffy smell. But you get a lot of value out of your pumpkins. But a lot of people don't eat these types of vegetables anymore. Like if you ever go to a supermarket and look for the section where there's parsnips, there's only ever a couple. You know, there's not a whole shelf of them. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Michelle. Just beyond cooked, and it's got a bit of caramelisation from the pan. Yum. I love the skin of a pumpkin like that. For me, it's just an extra treat. It's like the pumpkin's yum, and the skin is like nutty. A lot of people don't eat the skin. I've never worked that out. Spinach is good. Zucchini, yeah. I've tried all different ways with zucchini, and for me, I'd rather get a few butter squash, button squash, and put them in a stir fry instead of zucchini. But horses for courses, some people love it. When I was a kid, we used to have marrow, which I never liked, which is a really big, monstrous cucumber gone bad. But I mean, vegetables are less and less being consumed. You ever watch people eat? My kids are the same. They'll have a lot of meat, potatoes, not much else. A lot of people just have a very limited diet now. You grow your own. I tell you, the best one to grow, Michelle, is a thing called Easter egg radish, which is a combination of different radishes. So if you look online or see them in the shop, it's called Easter egg radish. You get hundreds of seeds, and you can, by the time you put a seed in, and I'm not kidding you, within 28 days you can eat them. They're good to go. Courgette and tomato and cheese. There's so much you can do with vegetables, and because they release a different flavour when they're cooked and how they're cooked, whether they're steamed, baked.
Radish, you just eat raw, Mel. You just give it a good wash.
Yes, you can. You can grow them in a large pot, Michelle. I'd say if you've got a large pot, and we're talking like, say, 14 inches wide, you'd easily grow 100 radish in there, easily.
Just raw, Mel. Well, I like raw radish cut really thin through a salad or on the side of your plate.
It depends on the soil to the heat in everything, to be honest, including your chilies. But if you're going to use potting mix in that big pot, Michelle, you've got no problems at all. They don't need a great deal of fertiliser because they're ripe within a month. You can have a crop of radish But what I would do, if you were smart, is I'd get your big pot, and halfway across I'd start running my finger about 1/2 inch deep, and I'd leave this side empty. And I'd sprinkle radish, probably about 1 inch apart, radish seed about 1 inch apart, and then gently rub your fingers over the soil, keep it moist, grow them. And when they are about 2 weeks into growing, on the other side you've got nothing, then run your finger on the soil. See where I'm going with this? Sprinkle your seeds, keep them moist, and then in 2 weeks' time, this other side is now ready to harvest, and this side is 2 weeks old. You pull all these out, and then you can do exactly that. You can just keep going. You don't have to use all the seeds in the packet in one hit, so consecutive gardening if you like. But radishes are so quick. They literally pop up, and I do like bulb radish instead of long skinny radish.
Yes, the horseradish is completely different to the round radish, mate.
Oh yeah.
The horseradish you clean, you cut diagonally, you salt it and let it sit, and then eat it. That's how my mum used to do it.
It's the same with, if you have a garden, you're growing carrots. If you went in my garden, you see carrots like this high, carrots about this high, and carrots just starting. Because I've succession planted. I've waited till I always used to wait until the top of a little carrot would show, which is about 6 weeks after the seed's gone in, you know what I mean? So I think, okay, and that's only, look, if you've got 8-foot row of carrots, which you would never grow them in one row, that 8 foot of carrots is about roughly 3 kilos of carrots. So if you work in a little block, that's the best way to do it. Say the sun comes over here from this way, you start your crop of carrots at the back, alright, so they start growing, so they get the sunlight even when the little ones next to it you put in a couple of weeks later, they start to grow. So you see carrots here, carrot tops here, sun hits it. If you do it the other way around, one of the shadows from the little rows of carrots will starve the other of sunlight. Not to an extent you won't get a crop, but that's how you grow a garden. You grow big stuff at the back, next biggest, smallest, and then the sun is obviously coming this way. Everything gets a fairly good spread of all those different spectrums of sunlight. You can do that with most gardens. It's like, you'll see in probably about 4 weeks, I'll go around. We just got these lettuce. I'll be honest with you. I call lettuce on the edge of a garden snail guards, because that's the first thing a snail will go for. But in about 4 weeks, I guess, you'll see me go out with a little bowl, and I'll just pull all on the outside leaves of the lettuce. I never rip a lettuce out of the ground. Never have, never will. Just keep pulling the lettuce on the outside, because it grows from the inside outwards, so there's new leaves forming inside all the time. Pull the outer ones off, have a big bowl of lettuce leaves, turn around, look at your garden, you've still got lettuce on the ground. Yeah, I was the same, Steve. I ate everything that came from the inside of an animal, and I thought it was normal food when I was a kid.
Oh, this will go in.
If you just imagine saying to your kids, come around for breakfast, I'm making liver and onions. Or do you want sheep's brains? Your choice. They'd probably come around and say, we'll have Cocoa Pops, thanks. And I bet you're the same as me, Steve. If someone presented it to you, you would eat it. But it's unlikely if I went to your house that you're going to have offal as a main staple food. Maybe liver, but you know what I mean. See the old fellas go to the butcher still and they'll say, have you got any liver and kidneys? And the butcher will come out after he's bought some sausages. Yeah, you can have those. They still do that. There's not a great market in butcher shops for liver and for kidneys, if you know what I mean. But the butcher has them, because when an animal is usually a carcass taken from a slaughterhouse to a butcher's place, he still has the kidneys and the liver.
Yeah, my mum used to like all that stuff.
Sweet bread from the sheep, yeah. I used to eat them while I was in the slaughterhouse when I was a kid, Kiwi. I was a hanger in a slaughterhouse, which means after the sheep gets killed and the first leg is sliced down, I'd hook that, and then I'd get the other leg and hook that and pass it on to the slaughterman. And they had those boiling trays, stainless steel boiling trays for their knives. And they just cut off all the sweetbread and chuck them in there. sort of a snack while you're working.
Yeah. I'm going in.
You going in?
Yeah.
Oh, I might shut it down shortly. Yeah, I mean, look, if we're all gathered on the edge of a cliff because the world's gone mad, we're going to eat anything. We're going to say, oh, I'll have some kidneys in the next kangaroo you catch. Those last ones were delicious. When you have a limited diet, I think you appreciate it far more than what we have at our feet today. I could go out right now and get whatever, if you mentioned food, I could go and get it. But in times of trouble, you live off the local environment, which I have no problem eating kangaroo, rabbits, fish, lizards, galahs. I'd eat everything. I would just want to have some pepper on hand. I can always make salt from seawater, but pepper, I'd miss that. It's like in some countries you'll watch the meat offal and it's normal for them. Chicken gizzards, pork intestines, they eat everything. Eyeballs. And to them, when we go, oh, they think, what's wrong with this person? Because it's normal for them. It's like, I'm sure if we had a visitor come from the United States and I said, oh, tonight I've made a special treat, I've got some kangaroo for you, they'd probably be appalled, thinking the cute little eyes and furry noses, and you're now going to serve it up on a plate to me? So it's like saying, because culturally each country is different with their food. I certainly don't agree with countries eating dog, but if that's their culture, and then they turn around to say to me, well, you eat kangaroo, you know, it's a bit hard to have an argument, but because we treat dog as a pet, we would find it a little bit abhorrent. Yeah, we get all types of freshwater crayfish, from big yabbies to little yabbies to marron. They're good. I always purge them though, Steve. I used to always buy a cheap, inflatable pool ring that the kids would use. Probably goes up about 10 inches. And I'd run a little pump. And I'd throw in things like grass and wheat. And I'd have my couple of hundred yabbies in there, about 3 or 4 inches long. And they can't get out because the plastic size doesn't let them out. But what it does allow them is to purge all the crap out of their gut. Because there's nothing worse than eating a freshwater crayfish or yabby and going crunch, crunch, crunch. Not nice. It normally takes 3 days to purge them, because particularly the wheat they chew on, that's like a roughage that goes through them quite quickly. But at this time, I was watching yesterday, there's 3 or 4 parrots sitting on the front fence, and we've got weeds, as we call them, growing, but they're all natural grasses and all with seed heads on them now. And the parrots just love it. They eat it like it is wheat, because wheat is actually from the old traditional grass. That's all wheat is. It's a grass that's been developed over thousands of years. All of them are barley, wheat, rye. You even have a weed in most people's garden that's called ryegrass, but it's not the ryegrass they grow commercially now. But that's all grasses are. I just read what you wrote there, Michelle. Lamb's fry and bacon. Yeah, that was very popular. In Australia, when I first came here in the 60s, all that was normal. Liver, lamb's fry, sweetbread, tripe, sheep's brains, I can go on. Ox tongue, which I still like today. Nothing wrong with ox tongue. But it was normal food. Hello back. Did you go to the Dunny Mill? Had to wash my bits. Ah. Did you do a video? Yeah, you got to purge them. One thing I used to like doing was just go down to a river. It used to be called, well, it's still called the Grenif River. At certain times of the year, the river was going to break through to the ocean. You'd always get all these prawns up the top. Not about this time of year, just as the heat starts kicking in, and you know the winter has filled the rivers up. And you go out there and you catch probably no bigger than 2 or 3 inch prawns, and they're not very thick. But you get thousands of them if you wanted to. But we just get a bucket, and we'd have another bucket, we'd stick on a fire, seawater, chuck them in, bread, butter, salt and pepper, maybe a bit of Thousand Island sauce, and you can just twist and push the probably about 1.5 inches of meat by about 1/4 inch. But soon when you going to Bali, actually some cheap flights at the moment, Mel. Unbelievable. We've flown with Air Asia before. I don't like Jetstar. Sorry, I just don't like them. But we've flown with Air Asia to that part of the world. And at the moment, you get like $99 flights from Perth. I don't know what you picked them up for. And if you paid more than $50 a night in Bali for a hotel, which I wouldn't stay in Kuta, I'm not sure where you're going. But we looked recently at maybe going to Lombok. A little bit more laid back, apparently. Yeah, ox tongue, sheep tongue. Who doesn't mind a little bit of tongue? Come here, said Steve. But no, good. It's like, well, if you've ever had corned beef, that's what tongue sort of comes around to look like. Yeah, we love Vietnam. We went years ago. Beautiful. And the Vietnamese are very open and generous. Yeah, couldn't talk more better about a country's peoples. Like Thailand, they're unbelievable. Vietnam, they're really lovely. Bali, they're a pain in the ass. You buy. Miss Mel, you buy. And if like Mel walks past the shop and the lady says, I do your hair in braids, and she says, yeah, I'll get it done sometime this week. And then if Mel goes somewhere else and gets it done, that first lady will scream and shout at Mel, you lied to me, you lied. I'm buffering apparently. No, you shouldn't be forced to eat things if you don't like them. But yeah, you got to. I mean, getting away is always great. Let's be honest. Just it's exciting. It's fun, and the culture.
You're buffering.
Is it still
bad.
buffering?
Yeah.
Someone give me a number 9 in the text if I'm live, or are you just seeing this happen? If I don't get a 9, I'll close it down. Yep, must have been, it's buffering itself to death, I think. Anyway, on that note, I hope you have a great trip. I'm not sure when you're going, but enjoy your trip to Bali. Stop that, Mel. That's a very bad girl. I want you outside my office at 4 p.m. after your netball training. The punishment will be delivered. No, it's great to get away though. "12 days. So whereabouts are you going? You can just give me the district. I know Bali pretty well. It's buffering again. Okay, I think I might close it down. If you can't see this now because it's buffering, but you see it later, thanks for coming along. It's good to catch up with you good people. And we must catch up with Mel and her husband shortly. The rest of you have a great day, and we will see you another time. Bye-bye.